So deer are not a native Australian animal. They were brought back in the 1800s for food sources and for hunting and recreation. And they have spread through people moving them around, but they've also spread more recently from sometimes escapes from deer farms and occasionally from illegal releases. Deer have a range of impacts. They have agricultural impacts, which are a problem for many farmers because they eat pasture, which is and compete with livestock for feed. They can spread diseases, which is a potential problem for biosecurity risks for livestock. They can be a road hazard. Deer in large numbers can cross the road at a moment's notice and cause problems for cars and our road safety. Deer also get into conservation areas and can munch their way through habitats and cause problems for threatened species and other habitats. There are a number of challenges to manage deer. One of the problems is they move across property boundaries, and so managing them at the property level can be a little ineffective because they can move in from other areas where they're not being controlled. So the most effective way to manage deer is really collectively, where neighbours get together and manage them in a coordinated way. Some of the tools that we use to manage feral deer include ground shooting. They can be aerially shot where there are large numbers of deer. There are also other mechanisms that can improve the efficiency of those things, including thermal tools, drones. Also, some people use traps to catch deer and then can humanely dispose of them afterwards. Well, I think we should start with the areas where that is feasible, and those areas are where we have small numbers of deer or isolated populations of deer. So when there's an isolated population of deer, they're the first places to tackle that sort of thing, and if we can prove that that's possible, we can start working on some of those larger areas. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't be trying to reduce the impacts of deer in large, dense areas, but I think eradication is more of a priority for areas where we have small numbers or pockets of them, because we'll get the best benefits for the people that live in those areas. Yeah. When farmers haven't seen many deer on their property for a long time, and then they start to see one or two, many of them think, oh, that's a nice animal on the hillside. But the reality is those animals will breed up in many cases and turn into large populations and then become difficult to control. So really, it is a very good idea to get on top of those deer when they're in low numbers and manage the 2 or 3 that are on the hillside. I would like to see the impacts of deer reduced across Australia, and I think we can do that better in some places than others. I think we can improve the way we use tools to control deer in a more coordinated way and have more long-lasting effects. So I think we can have a really good crack at managing and or eradicating deer in small areas, in small pockets, and trying to stop their spread by being vigilant and reporting them where there aren't very many of them and responding to those reports quickly. And in areas where they're really in really high numbers and having great impacts for the landholders there, I think we can work together to reduce those impacts to a manageable level or to an acceptable level.